Well, joining me now is Karl, and we're talking about suicide. So obviously that's a trigger word in itself, and people looking at this sort of thing. We have talked in the past, and you don't mind us talking about it. So let's deal with first of all. We're dealing with suicide prevention, and you've also got first hand this with your brother, who took his own life, and that's sort of made you come on board to give advice and to look at a sort of overall campaign and ways that the Isle of Man can deal with this, because obviously there's different agencies involved, aren't there, really?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So my brother took his own life in 2019 and turned my world upside down. It was just completely unexpected, and it sort of made me sort of question a lot of things and look into why and what can I do to help.
Mm-hmm.
When he did take his own life, we had one last night out together. It was a great night. We were in Bushy's beer tent. We had a great evening. He was with his friends, I was with my friends. The sun was shining, there was like bark chippings on the floor, bands were playing, everyone was in great spirits because of the great weather we were having during TT week. And then, so we had a great night, there was no signs or anything, and then that evening he got a taxi home with his friend, and he was joking in the taxi with his friend, and got out of the taxi, he sent a text message to that friend saying, I hate myself, which was really out of the blue from compared to the night we were having. And then that night he decided to end it. So the following day I got a knock at the door. My battery had died, so I sort of peered out the window, looked out the window. My mother was in the front garden. I went downstairs. Strange, checked my phone, but my battery was dead. Went downstairs. As soon as I locked eyes with my mother, I could tell there was something drastically wrong, and she told me that my brother had taken his own life, and it was absolutely devastating. I didn't want to believe it. I fell to my knees and cried hysterically, and then sort of later on we found some self-help notes in his belongings. So he was trying his best. He didn't speak to anyone. He was obviously feeling quite uncomfortable internally himself, but he was trying his best to self-help. So he'd done his own research. He was saying he wrote down things like win the first battle in the morning. He wrote down try and achieve something before you look at your phone. All these little tidbits of information, but so all that is great, but I think my understanding is 50% of all mental health problems are developed by the age of 14, and 75% are already developed. Of all mental health problems are already developed by the age of 24. So for me, that is a telling statistic that we need proactive intervention. So that's my the backing of my campaign is to try and get early intervention into schools, and that's when I was asked to be involved in the suicide prevention strategy.
I mean, obviously the thing that everyone will pick up there particularly is that you have no clue, and that must be the worst of it. If someone's down, you think, oh, they need a bit of help.
Absolutely.
But to have no clue is just, I mean, what do you do? You can't help somebody you don't know that's in that position, I suppose.
Exactly, and that is the difficult part of it. And to tackle that, it's a society belief system where people feel uncomfortable to talk about stuff in society. So that's a thing that we need to directly tackle, and that's why I set up my page. If it works, it's right, to try and promote simple ways of getting the information out there that can help. Communication helps, writing stuff down, understanding how the body and the mind work, and getting it to work for you rather than against you. So that I promote a lot of that stuff on my pages. There's many simple ways that we can take responsibility for our own well-being, and that's what the sort of strategy is about as well. And the earlier we can get this into society, for me, schools, we said 50%, so half of all mental health problems are developed by the age of 14. We need to be getting this information in before people are 14 and struggling. The earlier it's in there, the better. We're going to start to reduce the deficit of people that are feeling uncomfortable in society.
And there's this prevention scheme involving different agencies, I said at the beginning. What's going on here? You're bringing people together, are you? You're part of a bigger project?
So Public Health are arranging the suicide prevention strategy, which is the first of its kind, and it's a really fresh approach where they're getting external parties. So there'll be people like myself who are passionate about making stuff happen. There'll be people like Samaritans, I'll Listen, various other charities involved. They review the strategy, the draft strategy, and provide feedback. The police will be involved as well, because they'll obviously they'll be dealing with a lot of people with issues, and maybe some schools involved and medical people. So all of these people are in one room. Sean went through the strategy, and we provided feedback on the strategy. For me, it's very simple. If we have less people in society committing suicide, we have more people in society that are comfortable in their own skin. We have more people contributing to society, so it's a win-win. It's a zero suicide goal.
What about the toll on you, though? I mean, and your family when someone takes that life? I mean, you must take that feeling of what could I have done, which we just said is there.
Oh yeah.
What could I have done differently? And doesn't that weigh on you very heavily, and the family?
Yeah, it's really painful initially, but you have to. So with my research on stress and stuff like that, basically we only get stressed when we're not accepting something. And the perception shift for me was, I can't change that now, so I have to accept it. And the question I ask myself now is, what can I do to help? So that's where I am at the moment. Right. And obviously making sure I'm comfortable with myself, and practicing what I preach, and things like that.
Schools getting there. There's an open door for this sort of thing, I can imagine, but can people come up to you at the end of the lessons, or other people, and get some information or help? So
I've actually been asked, after the Arctic expedition, I've been asked to do a bit of a presentation in school for my daughter's teacher. Mm-hmm. She's at Cronkerberry, so I'm quite looking forward to that. That'll be a nice experience. So we talk about the Arctic expedition and resilience. And it'd be good to, get a feel for that in schools, because it all resonates. It all resonates with the suicide prevention strategy, the expedition to raise money for I'll Listen, the proactive charity, and the expedition is about resilience and how we can take responsibility for our own resilience. If we intentionally put ourselves in a challenging situation and become comfortable with it, we are building our resilience. The problem stays the same size, but it's us. If we effectively raise our resilience tide mark, which is Phil Quirk, which is the whole concept of Phil Quirk's expedition. So it all sort of resonates, and it all runs parallel with the direction that we're heading.
And the question I ask you, and the Samaritans, everybody, is like, this is the Isle of Man. It's a small knit community. Things shouldn't necessarily get to that far here or without trigger alerts. But we don't have any difference, I don't think, on rates of suicide here to the UK. I think it's pretty well the same, isn't it? If not, maybe slightly. I don't know. It depends on year to year, doesn't it? But
yeah,
it's not the best place. There's work to be done.
Yeah, my understanding. So they work on a 100 per 100,000. And I know there's been a couple of years where we have been higher than England per 100,000, and we're obviously less than 100,000 population. So we are slightly higher, and I think in the UK it went down after COVID, surprisingly, but over here it hasn't. It's gone sort of slightly up. We are an island. We've got our own unique government, we have a fantastic opportunity to grab the bull by the horns and set a precedent, and which I believe we absolutely can do with the suicide prevention strategy. Set a precedent, and maybe people want to piggyback off that from us.
I mean, a lot of people self-medicate when they feel depressed, don't they? I'm talking about drinks or drugs, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. Is that one of those telltale signs maybe to look out for?
Yeah.
Is it that simple, or is that an alert to you? Yes.
Yeah. So another good thing about the strategy is Sean's done a lot of work to collect a lot of data, so we can target in on the main sort of focus area. So someone who is like an alcoholic will be more likely to commit suicide. There would be the main sort of focus areas and points that we would target to try and eliminate. But the thing with people drinking to mask problems, it isn't just masking the problems. So what that is people. So a situation happens, rather than accepting it, they suppress it. It makes them feel uncomfortable, so they take alcohol to mask it.
You have a pressure cooker situation, don't you?
That's exactly it. Yeah. So it's getting this sort of awareness into society at the right time. To not necessarily. You don't frame it like that. You'd say you just sort of let people or let youth know that there are ways to release any uncomfortable feelings, and ultimately 95% of mental health issues, in my eyes, could be dealt with proactively by just teaching interesting ways of getting the message across. So the things that we eat affect our well-being, how we sleep affects our well-being, what we think, our attitude and our intention, all of these things on a daily basis, if we can get them right, we can eliminate 95% of mental health problems.
And going for help is not unmanly, or one of these sort of words are. It's now quite accepted that people look for help. Years ago, it was a different matter. I think now we are turning a corner, and people can find that help and shouldn't feel bad about doing that.
Absolutely, yeah. So there's been a lot of work done to break the stigma, and it's fantastic. That's what we need. The problem now is we have a lot of people that are wanting to talk about it. Waiting lists have increased. So although the stigma's breaking, but now there's a lot of pressure on sort of services to sort of catch up with that. So again, there needs to be a level of maintenance for ourselves in society proactively, which we need to get out there. But there also needs to be, when people do sort of have a wobble, that there's the right services in place just to give them a nudge back in to get them back on track.
How do people get hold of you, or do they just ring the Samaritans? Is there a go-to place, or is it different agencies here?
I have a page, If It Works It's Right.
That's on Facebook, is it?
That's on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, doing quite well, and LinkedIn as well. So
you're covering your social media. I love it. Okay, well, thanks for coming in today, and we can always talk more about this, because I think it's one of those things every few years we just need to refresh people's minds and memories. I just, on a happy note, you mentioned your Arctic expedition, and you have a wonderful sponsor. I want you to mention them because they looked after you, didn't they? They helped you get there.
Yeah. So, firstly, the concept of the expedition was the sponsor, either employee or proxy sponsor, pays for the travel and accommodation, which means all of the money raised during the expedition goes straight to the charity. I'll listen in this case. So my proxy sponsor, Much Better, paid
much better.
Yeah.
A great name.
A payment app. Yeah, they paid a lot of money for me to go on this trip. I think it was in the region of $5,500. Wow. And they didn't know me. Martin, who I believe he's coming
back soon for a final wrap on the whole thing, and obviously Mr. Quirk, who's been leading the whole thing.
Yeah.
Was it good? Yeah, good time.
Oh, it was amazing. Yeah, it was fantastic. And one of the things I want to get out there is when you can put yourself in a challenging situation and become comfortable with it, when you come home and the washing machine breaks, it's no longer a massive issue. And
that's a great way of putting it, because it is something that's so small as that can just send people over the edge, basically.
This is it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something goes wrong, and how you have a bad day. And
but you don't necessarily need to go to the Arctic to challenge yourself. So there's lots of simple ways, like a cold shower, cold dips. Like loads of people know that the awareness is out there now on how good these are for you. Yeah. That is putting yourself in a challenging situation. And coming to speak to you, and that is a challenging situation. We've done podcasts and BBC interviews off the back of the Arctic, so it's been a well-rounded sort of full resilience package on so many levels. Okay. And now we've got the burpee mile World Championships coming up, so burpees for a mile is
You're doing that?
Yeah, we're doing that.
Great.
Yeah.
Well done. Okay, and I think just to finish the thing with talk to somebody, find somebody to talk to. Is that if you're feeling you're pushed to the edge? Yeah,
so if you're worried about someone who's in distress, it's important to trust your gut. If you're worried, then you're probably right. If you're feeling uncomfortable yourself, this importance of communication to enable you to release this stuff is very important. And there's lots of other ways you can write stuff down. But yeah, first step is speaking about it and communicating it in some way and starting to release this stuff. Yeah.